Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to Bucco Brew, powered by Fer Coffee Tea. I'm your host, Anthony Donardo. With me, of course, we have Jim Rosati. Jim, happy Monday, my guy.
Happy Monday.
Series victory Monday.
Pirates. Yeah.
That's a thing, right?
That? I don't know if we've had that in a while. I feel like the weekend series in particular have been really rough over the stretch of this season. And I'm trying to think
the last one
time
was the Angels, and that was midweek.
Yeah. So looking back here, this is the first Bucco Brew coming off a series win.
Well,
it's May 12th, but here we go. We made it. We've got a series win to discuss.
Ladies and gentlemen, Donnie Baseball. There it is. It's the answer.
First weekend win of the year.
That's incredible. I never would have guessed that.
8692 Pirates here says they haven't won a Saturday game all season.
That's wild.
We're going to turn that around to the tailgate. May 24th, we're turning that around. We're winning on a Saturday.
Love it. Take that, Brewers. Yeah, I guess that's wild to think about. But obviously when you've not won many games, it's not really that wild, I guess, to think about. But again, it was the first series since the LA Angels series, which was April 20-ish. I forget, I think 21st or 23rd, maybe about that.
The 24th. Yep.
Okay. And here we are. The Pirates take on the Braves, take 2 out of 3. It was an interesting series. I'll say that. There were still issues, right? Like the problem not solved. Not like, here, Don Kelly's here, problem solved. Look at this team now. Wow. Look at it. It's hey, they scrapped and won some games, but we're gonna definitely talk a lot about Don Kelly and this new managerial leadership, I guess. But I'll tell you what, before we do that, let's tell you guys about Fer. So Fer is a family and employee-owned and operated business. They believe that coffee and tea are one of life's simplest and most accessible pleasures. And when enjoyed thoughtfully, they can open your eyes to the here and now. They have 5 locations across the city of Pittsburgh, including the flagship in the heart of Pittsburgh's historic Strip District. To learn more, check them out on Instagram or head on over to the website, defer.coffee. That's DEFER.coffee. And everyone, just so you do know, again, still continues. Use code NS930. That is NS930 to get your 30% off your first purchase on defer.coffee online. So that's extended now through May. As a matter of fact, let's do this, Jim. Let's do a little. Let's change that overlay. And now you see the code on the screen. NS930 at defer.coffee. Get your 30% off your first purchase.
Good stuff. Yeah, make sure you support our sponsor if you're a coffee or a tea drinker. They have good. I mean, I've been very pleased with my coffee selection so far.
Oddly enough, as you might have seen, I'm not drinking it this morning. The mug's dirty, and I woke up a little late, so whatever it was. But I will be having mine, of course, after. I drink it every day. I got the subscription. It's good stuff. So much like Donnie Baseball, good stuff. Very good.
Yeah. I guess if we want to talk about the series a little bit, you mentioned the problems are still there. Like this team still didn't hit. And they scored 3 runs, 4 runs. One of those games was 11 innings long. I'm sorry, 3 runs, 2 runs, 4 runs. The 11 inning game, they only scored 2 runs. And they had 2 opportunities where they started with a guy on second and couldn't get him across. So yeah, the offense is still a problem. The difference is just the pitching. The pitching held up this weekend. 3 good starts. Bailey Falter with an outstanding start on Friday. Saturday, you had a nice start from Heaney. Nice to see him kind of get back on track. And then Sunday, best start of Carmen Majinski's season. So the starting pitching in particular really performed this weekend. I think it was three quality starts this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
makes things a lot easier on your bullpen. So it's a lot easier to deploy your bullpen guys when your starting pitchers are giving you that sort of length and that sort of effectiveness. Yeah. So overall, great weekend for the pitchers.
It was, and honestly, 3 quality starts. But I mean, Majinski and Bailey Falter just looked absolutely excellent. Probably, I mean, I'd probably say your best start from Bailey Falter and Carmen Majinski capping this series. So, yeah, really, really good stuff on the pitching side here. The hitting side, not so much. It was enough, like you mentioned, for 2 days. But again, Jim, the first time they scored 4 runs since May 2nd, they haven't broke the 4-run barrier since April 22nd. That LA series against the Angels, the first one they scored the 9 runs against the Angels. Since then, they haven't been able to score more than 4.
That's actually incredible. You mentioned that on the post game show yesterday about how, like, the first time we even got to 4 in over a week, and that's almost mind boggling to me that it's been since April 22nd since this team scored more than 4 runs.
Well,
that's 20 days
ago.
They were
winless in May up until Friday.
That's 20 days. It's 3. May 12th.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'll get someone
a
fired.
Model of consistency. They're just consistently not putting up runs and not winning games. Now, again, they were fortunate enough this weekend to win a few, but right. I mean, you mentioned 2 runs, 3 runs. 2 runs. Well, it happened, I guess, 3 runs, 2 runs, 4 runs is what they scored this weekend. And that's just simply not good enough. But we've seen the lineup. And ironically enough, the game that they scored the most runs in was when O'Neill Cruz wasn't in the lineup.
Because that makes sense.
I mean, though, you shouldn't lose your best hitter and say, well, we can't score 4 runs now.
Yeah, 29th in weighted runs created plus. They're one of 3 teams right now with negative WAR from their position players. White Sox, Pirates, Rockies. It's a great company right there, guys. And they are last in the majors in runs scored. Not ideal. Not ideal.
No.
But they were able to at least like you said, pitching held up. I mean, that we talked about in the post game yesterday, but the way that this team's going to win games right now is just with really good pitching and just being able to hit enough. And that's what they were able to do.
Yeah, collectively, just all that. But Joey Bart, big time. I mean, he was a big reason why this team won 2 out of 3 because of his performance on Sunday, especially. I mean, he had a good performance on Saturday as well, but they lost that game. But he carried it over on Sunday, and I mean, he literally had the walk-off. But yeah, Joey Bart, a big part of the reason why they're 2-3. Brian Reynolds, a big part of why they're not scoring more than 4 runs. I know now. I mean, let's call it as it is too. Like, O'Neill Cruz has struggled recently, and he is the leadoff guy. Overall, he's had a very effective season. Overall, and that leadoff spot, he's been extremely effective. He has not been that good recently. Brian Reynolds hasn't been good essentially all year. Aside of a few spurts, I feel like he has 2 games back to back where it's like, oh, okay, he's coming around, and then it falls off a cliff again. And then Kutch just kind of consistently having a solid season, being about the 4th best hitter on the team because Joey Bart's just tearing it up right now. But when your 1 is struggling and your 2's been struggling all year, yeah, you can understand why they haven't scored more than 4 runs recently, up until recently.
Yeah, I mean, when O'Neill Cruz isn't going off, The offense is non-existent. That's basically what's happening, because Joey Bart's having a great season. He's in a really good stretch right now, but he's also hitting a lot of singles. Like, Bart's not really slugging right now. His slugging's high because he's still getting a bunch of hits. But overall, I mean, Joey Bart has only hit one ball over the fence so far this year. He's driven in 10 runs on the season. And so, not like the best thing you want to see out of your cleanup spot. But I mean, he's hitting 291. He's got a 411 on base percentage, but he's slugging 379. So,
right.
Like, the run production out of Joey Bart isn't necessarily there, despite the hitting. 408 BABIP for Joey Bart. He's just like, he's this year's Adam Frazier, I guess. Prime Adam Frazier, Joey Bart. Hey, if Joey Bart can be prime Adam Frazier, I mean, that's essentially what he's doing right now.
Right. That's a good way of putting it. But I mean, like, the way this offense is, you take what you can get. It's like, we're not trying to knock Joey Bart too hard, because again, no one's producing. So I will take singles because at least you're giving me singles.
This.
But that's also part of the problem. That's what this team is. I mean, that's what makes this team struggle so much, is because you get guys on base. It's not as if they're totally anemic where there's just no one ever getting on, right? They just aren't able to hit anyone in because, well, for one, they struggle to hit with runners in scoring position, but also, like, if they do, it's a single. So you move the guy from first to second, or you move the guy from first to third, or the second to third. No one's coming in, especially when the contact plays in place, because then it's hit to third base and the guy's out. So yeah, it's just like you're having a hard time hitting guys in because this team is a singles team when they do finally get a hit. So I mean, yes, like, it's not to really harp too much on Joey Bart, because he is hitting, but it's also part of the problem. It's singles. It's not enough to score runs. It's enough to get on base. Luckily enough for him, yesterday there was some guys on base though, and he was able to score them to win the game. But right. I mean, it's O'Neal Cruz, and outside of that, as far as the power goes, that's it. I mean, I jokingly said this to highlight it. Adam Frazier is 4th on the team in home runs. It just kind of tells you where you're at.
Yeah, Frazier shouldn't be 4th on the team in anything.
No. Grounding into double plays. That's about it.
Yeah, it's bleak. I mean, they need to get better. Brian Reynolds needs to turn things around. I think first and foremost, that's like the number one priority for this team, is get Brian Reynolds going. Then you can at least be like, okay, our top 4 are all looking pretty good. And then they need to get some guys healthy. So that's the good news is, Nick Gonzalez's rehab assignment should be starting this week. Spencer Horwitz should be pretty much wrapping up his, I think, after this week. So you hope that by this time next week, you've added Spencer Horwitz and you've added Nick Gonzalez, which I don't think, like I said, neither of those guys are like impact bats, but they're better than what you've been trotting out there. They're major leaguers, at least, and at least gives you a little bit more length in that lineup so that you're not batting borderline minor leaguers 5th and 6th in your lineup day in and day out, because that's what they're doing right now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Spencer Horwitz has to be up by end of week, so it could be sooner, potentially. So, I mean, like, that reinforcement is coming. There's your first baseman. Like, I'll say this, at least you're finally going to get like a real first baseman. And I know Gorski can play. Like, I'm not trying to take away too much from Gorski on that. Like, he can definitely play the position, but I don't know if he can particularly play in the box. And here it's you there. It's been fine-ish, I guess, for the year. I mean, obviously in total, what does he have? He's got a 62 weighted runs created plus. I mean, he has shown a little bit of power, but he strikes out a ton. Like, I didn't really envision him being a good major leaguer, and he's kind of showing it in the small sample size he's been here for. But Spencer Horwitz is struggling also, and he's come off a wrist injury. I don't know how long it's going to really take him, because he's not finding his groove yet in the minors, which I also understand. I know there's some people probably looking at his minor league numbers and saying, well, if he can't do this in AA, he can't do this in AAA. What's happening? he's coming off a wrist injury. This is his spring training, essentially, right? He's getting his timing down. He's getting back into things. This is spring training numbers, is what it is. I'm not worried too much on that, but still, I'm worried that he's coming off a wrist injury, and I'm worried that he doesn't have a long track record of proof of what he is yet either. So there's a lot of mystery behind him to begin with. So there is that, but whatever, he can play the position when as Merlin Valdez gets healthy again. Like, he doesn't have to play first base the way he's been playing it anymore. Hopefully, maybe he's more in a better position for him. And Manuel, sorry, I did.
So you said Esmeralin. I was gonna let you go.
Right. But
too many Valdezes.
Yeah. One's hitting a lot though. But I'm anticipating him coming out. Like, I'll say this. I'm anticipating it because I want to see him. Like, I want to finally see what this trade did, what this trade bring. It's not going to help 2025 like it was supposed to. That's over with. But who is Spencer Horwitz? And is he going to be able to help 2026 now?
Yeah. I mean, up to this point, Pirates, they have a 63 weighted runs created plus out of their first base spot. So, like, their first basemen have been putrid this season.
So Matt Gorski's the status quo.
Yeah. Negative 0.4 WAR out of first base. And that was the spot where, like, you went out there and you got Horwitz to be like, okay, this spot has been a black hole for years now. Let's put someone in there. And, because he's been hurt, it's been that black hole again. But yeah, I'm very interested in seeing Horwitz. I was looking up his exit velocities the other day, actually yesterday, just to kind of see. I saw his numbers. His numbers on rehab aren't great, but really, okay, I don't really care about that right now because it's such a small sample size. It's his first time seeing live pitching. I just want to know, is he hitting the ball hard? Is he hitting the ball hard? Plain and simple. And last week I saw he hit 2 balls over 104. So there's some hard hit balls there. But he hadn't hit one hard for a few days. So that was just something I noticed. But he's hitting 104. Is what it is.
Honestly, like, that's how it is. What it is. This guy didn't have a spring training. If this was March and that was happening, we would just say, you want to see better, right? You always want good numbers when numbers don't matter, but also it's spring. Let's just see what happens. I mean, and again, like, you saw a lot of things happen in spring that carried over much differently to the tune of the opposite effect. I mean, guys looked really, really good, and then LB games start and they're awful. So again, I don't really worry too much about what the numbers are. He's having his rehab. He's having his spring training. Let's see what happens when he gets here. But I also assume he's going to still have to ramp up because he only has 20 days of rehab. And again, with that type of injury, I just assume you're probably going to need more time to really get there. But you're going on the first base numbers. Like, that's first base was bad last year. First base as a whole last year was an 86 weighted runs created plus with a negative 0.5 WAR. That was over a whole entire season. So, like, the first base situation is even worse than last year. Yeah. Like, it's, I don't think anyone's shocked by that. But again, put it in perspective. Like, this isn't even as bad as last year. It's worse.
Right.
Either way, that's more of a Ben Cherington thing, not I almost did it, Jim. I talked about this last night. I think it's coming to, like, realization right now. Like, it's wearing off the novelty of Derek Shelton's gone. It's a roll of the tongue. It's Derek Shelton. It's not Derek Shelton anymore. It's Don Kelly.
Don Kelly.
This isn't a Don Kelly thing. This is more of a Ben Cherington thing. That's weird. Yeah. This is weird.
Well, it's a Don Kelly thing too. I mean, he's still got to figure it out regardless of what you're getting.
Well, I'm saying the talent that is here right now.
Yeah. That's a Ben Cherington problem.
But Don Kelly is here. And I guess, like, with that said, it's 3 games. I hate to, like, say, oh, these 3 games, I've seen it all. This is Don Kelly. This is what the new team is and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But with the 3 games, what has maybe stood out to you? What do you seeing any vibe difference? Anything with this team? Does it seem more energized? Is it like, hey, let's turn over a whole new page. Let's get back to what we should have been. I don't know. What have you seen from these 3 games? What's your takeaway?
It's hard to tell if there's been like a shift in mindset or vibes. Yeah, it's been 3 games and you won 2 of them. So you were happy Friday and you were happy on Sunday. Saturday, you saw they weren't happy. They were losing, they were struggling, they couldn't get a hit with the runners in scoring position. People were ejected. Yeah, so I don't know necessarily if too much changes on like the day to day. At least, and I just didn't notice a whole lot there. I guess when it came to some of the pitching decisions, Carmen Majinski specifically yesterday, is that something that prior to this weekend would have been allowed to happen? Like, would Carmen Majinski been allowed to go through that 3rd time? Because he was allowed to this time. Kelly kept him in there for the longest he's been in all year. So, like, was it something with the game plan? Was there maybe before, hey, Carmen, you're only facing the order 2 times through, and then so like just empty the tank? Was it different this time in that I know that there wasn't any sort of plan going into it based off of his post game comments yesterday? Like, it was kind of like Kelly just made the decision to leave him in there as long as he did, and made the decision to pull him whenever he did. So yeah, I don't know if maybe something's changing fundamentally from like a game planning standpoint. They did fire their game planning coach
Manager.
or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever his official job title
Game
was,
plan
but
manager.
game plan manager.
Bradley Haddad.
Yeah. So I don't know. Does that mean they have no plan now? They're just going out there and they're playing ball, or have those duties been given to somebody else? But yeah, it was. I guess I need a little bit more time to kind of like make my judgment on him, but I liked the ejection on Saturday. I mean, that umpire was terrible. He was all over the place, just completely inconsistent. I think it's fine if your strike zone is different than the box on the screen, but you just got to be consistent with it. That's the thing. If you're
And I'm gonna say
consistent with
Sundays was that example. Sundays was way off too, but he was consistent at least.
yeah, so like if
That
you're
was the
going to be
difference between Saturday
consistent
and
with
Sunday.
it, if you're going to be consistent with it, then it's on the players to adjust. But if you're going to be inconsistent with it, then the players don't know what you're doing back there. And that's the important piece, is like the players just want to know what's going to be a ball and what's going to be a strike. That's what they want to know. And when you have them guessing, that's a problem. And same with the pitchers too. So he made sure the umpire knew that he was doing a really bad job, and he got his money's worth in that ejection. So I like that. And the fact that it was game 2 was kind of was I guess funny, but yeah, I like the ejection there. Sometimes you just got to do that. The umpires need to know they're doing a bad job in the middle of a game, because they don't get their scorecards or whatever until the following day or until after the game's over. Sometimes they need to be let known in the moment, hey, you're doing a crappy job. Didn't really change much. The umpire was still bad from that point forward, but you still sometimes you gotta let them know.
Yeah. Correct answer. It's 3 games. So, and that goes on the other side, that it's 3 games of, oh, well, it's just another Sheltie. Oh, it's just another whatever. Things are going to take time. It's not, I mean, we talked about how a new manager could spark change, it spark, new energy and whatnot. But also, and that's why I started this off with, the Cherington issue. This team just simply isn't that good. Also, I don't think Don Kelly being here is now, well, they'll score 5 or 6 runs. They don't really have the talent to. Now, Brian Reynolds needs to get going, and that can help, right? And then he is a part of the problem of why they're not scoring 4 runs and such. But I don't think Don Kelly being at the manager role now is just okay, well, this offense will just now score 5, 6, 7 runs. It's just not talented to. That's unfortunate. But like, what about all the other things? And all the other things too, they're not just going to all of a sudden know how to play defense and have all the perfect fundamentals and stuff. Like, that's going to take time too, to see what the accountability and such is, right? So I'm still interested to see this through, but it does seem that he is a much different person than Shelton just in those 3 games. I'll kind of just say that. He is his own man. He seems to be his own man, his own voice. I don't think it's like it's a shadow of Derek Shelton up there. And part of that is game 2, just showing that ejection. I mean, he was out there and he was going. And I like that too. There's some fire, at least from him. And maybe that was to help fire up the team also, because again, for a team that's lifeless, maybe that was going to help. Maybe that was also by design. Maybe it was like, I am just waiting for an opportunity to just go out there and get ejected. And maybe that was it. Because again, it was game 2. It was the second game he's the manager, and he's already tossed out. And for a team that's lifeless, like maybe that was going to be a spark. I don't know. That was maybe his attempt to try. I don't know. Maybe it just was the ump was bad. I mean, he did say he was bad and he's going to protect his guys. And I liked that quote also because things get overblown, but there was a lot of talk about Derek Shelton. Like, he just doesn't back up his guys. He just never backs up his guys. He might go out there and talk, but like, he doesn't get ejected because he's not firing out there. He's not protecting his guys. And that's literally what Don Kelly said. Like, I'm going to back up my guys. Difference. More time to tell. Could this be an anomaly and that's the only ejection he has and the only time he does this season? We'll find out. Or is this more to come, or we'll see. But I liked the fieriness out of him in that time. And again, I think just hearing him in the post games or just on a mic in general now in the situation, he seems to be much different than Derek Shelton. But again, it is 3 games. That could change over time. Derek Shelton's changed over time as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'll say like he definitely seems to be his own person. It's a bit different so far. But I don't think you can expect and anticipate this complete culture change right now in 3 games and like, oh, okay, Don Kelly's doing a good job. That's going to have to change. You're going to have to work at that. We talk about the accountability thing. Also, he's mentioned accountability as well. We're here going to find out and see about that. But so far, again, I have no real takeaway. I don't think of 3 games you can say, okay, this is the guy who's good, or like, okay, this is terrible. It's the same thing. But so far, I think it's different. I don't think it's much of like, oh, this is another Derek Shelton. It's Don Kelly.
Yeah. They still need to name him a bench coach too. By the way, Ben Cherington talked about that a little bit yesterday. They're working on getting that done as quick as possible. It sounds like. So I mean, you could probably
this organization has.
I would imagine you see something here by the Philly series. Because right now Ben mentioned that Kelly's basically performing double duty right now. He's being the manager and the bench coach. So he's and apparently the Pirates bench coach is in charge of things like player communications and scheduling meetings and workout times and stuff like that. So so he's kind of playing administrator, office assistant slash manager right now. So they need to get somebody in to just take those tasks off of his hands so that he can focus on managing. So I got to imagine it's got to be pretty soon. And yeah, you can't really, what's interesting about this is you can't really pull someone from like another team. Like you can't be like, hey, you Detroit Tigers AAA hitting coach or whatever. You want to be the bench coach? Like he's in the middle of a season. That's kind of not how this works typically. So they're gonna have to find somebody who's either just out of a job right now, who wants to get back into it, or someone with close ties to the organization who's maybe just sitting around doing nothing. Yeah, they're gonna have to figure something out there, or someone internally that they can elevate to that position. So we'll see it. We'll see what they do. It would be fun to see someone like John Wayner, I think. And that's like when it comes to people with organizational ties, like that's always an option. I don't know if that's something that he'd want to do, but I'd be on board with that. I think got a couple
Well,
WPIL kids in there.
let me ask you something, because the time has passed. Like it's taken some time, and I just say this because you saw the Rockies. The Rockies let go of Black yesterday, named their new coach, and then boom, Clint Hurdle's the bench coach now.
Mm-hmm.
Clint Hurdle's come basically off a sofa to being hitting coach to a bench coach in just a few weeks.
Yeah,
wild. First off, wild, and kudos and congrats to Clint Hurdle. But do you think maybe this is something where it's like, well, we're not just going to promote whomever that's sitting right next to me in this dugout to the bench coach, that maybe it's something outside of, right now in that clubhouse. And that's why it's taking some time to maneuver that position or whatever. Because
I think
it could be.
Yeah, I think you saw that they did this without the interim tag. So I think they're going to go through and they're going to, they're not going to just plug any person in there that's available. I think they do want to find who they think is the right person. Because when it comes to Ben Cherington, like he's got a lot to still play for the rest of this year. I know he doesn't actually play, but he's got a lot to prove from this point forward. And Don Kelly's got a lot to prove from this point forward. Like, is Don Kelly someone who can lead this team past 2025, or is Don Kelly someone who can go on there and do this somewhere else? So, yeah, there's a lot at stake here for a lot of people. Like the Pirates are out of it right now. Like they're not. There's no turning this season around, but there's still a way to look at. Okay, from May 8th on, May 9th on, when the Don Kelly era began, what does success look like from May 9th on? Because it's kind of two seasons at this point. There's before Don Kelly, and then now there's after Don Kelly. What does success have to be for the after Don Kelly version of this team to prove? And so I think that's a question that the Pirates need to know the answer to. Like, hey, what does success look like from this point forward? Because guess what? Like going to the playoffs it's not an option anymore.
Right.
If that's a pipe dream at this point. But
if that does happen,
measure,
he's here.
Oh yeah, if the Pirates somehow make the playoffs, yeah, Don Kelly's not going anywhere.
He's gonna get a 10-year extension.
Yeah, like what does this team need to do from May 9th on to look back and say, okay, you know what? We made a change and stuff changed. Like things happened for the better, and you can look at that 120 game span or whatever and say that was a successful 120 games under the Don Kelly era.
This might sound like a cop-out, but to me, does it seem like it's totally subjective? And I say that because I think this year for the organization, it was playoffs. And if you don't get to the playoffs, what's happening? Because it is year 6 and you have the opportunity to do so. Is it going to be Derek Shelton? And we've talked like, what's it going to take to get Derek Shelton fired? Like, what's that record? Because it was ultimately performance. It was success in the sense of winning and playoffs. Since winning and playoffs is out the door right now, and again, like all the problems you talked about is the roster, which is a Cherington thing. I don't know if it can be totally tied down to wins and losses, because it's going to be that. And I think a lot of people can say like a 500 season the rest of the way. Like you could stamp that, but is 500 fair to Don Kelly at this point in time? Like, is that fair to him to judge him on how successful he is? I think it's again, like I think it's subjective on like what a successful season is for him. I want to see players turn around. I want to see players improve. I want to see this clubhouse improve. I want to see small things tighten up. Like I want to see, to me, less about wins and losses I want the wins. Trust me. Like I want the wins. I want them to be 500. If like he also does that on top of this stuff, right? But like I just want to see all the other stuff clean up because most of the team's problems and most of the issues is as Ben stated. It's him. It's his fault. I don't think anyone and any manager, Derek Shelton, right, could take this team to be a 500 team. That was kind of the problem. So giving him those same expectations, I think, is not fair to him. But the things that led to Derek Shelton's firing on top of the wins and losses, right? The things that we felt like he didn't do as good, I want to see those from Don Kelly. So that's where I'm at with this, I guess.
Yeah, I think for me, it still comes down to like you got to win baseball games. I don't really care how
it
you
can't
do
be
it.
bad, but
yeah, like it's got to be.
like
It's got to
you
be.
can't
good.
have like a 39% winning percentage. You know, like it's got to be close to 500. But I can't judge it on like a 500 season.
See, I like it on kind of like what John said here. Like I think like there were expectations going in that this team was going to be competitive and it was going to compete for a playoff spot. If Don Kelly's able to meet those expectations, then I think that's a success. If not, then it's not. Like that's plain and simple. Like this season was supposed to be this. If it's not that, and neither guy could accomplish that, then that's not a success. Like there's no success there. Because not only that, like Don Kelly is about to get some reinforcements here. Like we can argue the impact of these reinforcements, but Don Kelly's about to get Spencer Horwitz and Nick Gonzalez back. So this team's about to look a lot closer to what we thought it was going to look like, you know, back in March. So yeah, I'm kind of with that. Like he needs to be at a, like if he plays at an 85 win pace, if the Pirates play at an 85 win pace from here till the end of the year, which is there was 124 games in there, right? If they go 65 and 59, yeah, that's the math. 65 and 59 means they played at a 85 win pace from that point forward. So like not only I think they need to be above 500 from the change on to be like, okay, the season ended the way that we expected it to.
Yeah. Okay. I guess like my counter to that, and the reason why I say this also is if the Pirates won 80 this year, do you think Shelton's coming back next year?
No.
Okay. Then that's fair. And you're backing your stance. I think he does. And I mean, I think we mostly, I forget where yours was, but I think mostly we kind of felt this team was maybe like around a 500 team, probably like at best.
What we thought they were. Yeah, that's what we thought they were. But I think that's not what they thought they were.
I guess, I mean, I get that. But then also the same sense, if that's what they did, do you put that on Shelton or do you put that on Cherington? You know, and that's like where I guess where I'm at is if both. I think they're a 500 team, probably closer to under than over. Is that fair to Don Kelly if he doesn't get over? If he's doing what this team is? The problem with right now is this team's completely underperforming. Like they're not this at all. That's why Shelton has to go. But if Don Kelly is doing the rest of the way where this team pretty much is, and you're seeing at least a difference in culture change and whatnot, to me, I can live with that. Now, again, I'm not saying retain him. I'm saying he has an opportunity. He has a chance to come back. That's where I'm at. Like, I don't think it's fair to him to put him at a standard that is above what this team is.
Yeah. Well, a lot of that.
Now, if he does that, that certainly helps his case. But like, if he's,
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, but if it's close, like if it's not really there as far as wins and losses, this team wasn't built for that either. I don't think it'd be totally fair to him to say, well, you're not even being considered at this point in time, you're out. When all the other stuff, you know, like the eye test, like this team's in a better situation with Don Kelly at the helm than it has ever been. But also it's not that talented. That's why he wasn't above 500 the rest of the way. That's why it was an 85 win pace.
So there's a
That's
difference
all.
between is this a successful Don Kelly tenure, or is this good enough to bring him back? I think those are two different questions.
Okay.
Because John brings up a good point here. Don Kelly's only coming back if he wins enough to keep Ben Cherington his job. That's the answer.
So again,
right?
Back to my thing.
So we have
if
to go back
won 80 games this year, is Cherington coming back?
No. No way.
You say that.
There's no chance.
I disagree.
I mean, this team has to win in year 6. And no, so I'm saying like the only possible way Ben Cherington can keep his job right now is if they play from this point forward like the team that they were hoping to be. If they play from this point forward 500 ball and they end the season 13 games under 500, Ben's not back. It's not back. You can't bring someone back for year 7 when they go 75 and 87 in year 6 for the 6th straight losing season. So like I think that's what I'm getting to. Like, in order for this to be a success going forward, the Pirates need to play at a pace where it makes you think Cherington's job is safe after this. And I think the only way that happens is if they are winning more than they're losing. It doesn't matter what the culture is. Like, you can look back and say, like, okay, in the 124 game stretch, yeah, I want to be able to watch baseball without getting sick to my stomach. I want to watch good baseball. I want to watch better fundamentals. I want to watch a team that shows like they have some fight in them. I want a team that gets fired up, that shows some motion. But first and foremost, this team needs to win some games. That's the job of everyone involved here. And if Don Kelly isn't able to win games, he's going to be gone, and Ben Cherington's going to be gone. Don Kelly's not coming back if he goes 500 and there's a new GM next year. That new GM is going to bring in a new manager.
And I agree with that. And
so I think I'm still
sticking to my gut feeling of Ben's gone by the break. And a lot has to do with what you're saying. I mean, if he goes 500 the rest of the way, I think Ben Cherington can talk and chirp his way to retain his job. I just simply don't think they're going to do that. And that's why he's going to lose his job. But also why I don't think it's fair to Don Kelly, because this is more of a Cherington problem. But encompassing everything I just said, Ben Cherington, I don't think, is going to keep his job because they're not going to be at a 500 pace. So we're not going to have to worry about the 500 discussion. It's going to be worse than that, which is why he's not keeping his job. But I also don't think it's fair to Don Kelly. But I think they'll perform better going forward than what they have.
Yeah, I think you can completely see a path. Ben Cherington had a quote where, like, you don't have to squint too hard to see that this is a playoff caliber team. I think that's what he said. Yeah, you do. You've got to squint pretty hard to see that. But I don't think you need to squint very hard to see that there's better players that are about to arrive and that this team shouldn't be completely awful going forward. Like, I don't think you need to squint too hard for that. And they play in a division with teams that aren't very good. And, like, if things go well, you can at least put together a somewhat decent last 120 games here. Again, playoffs out of the question, but I think you can play good ball from this point forward. And that's what I want to see. And that's the only way I think Ben Cherington comes back.
Yeah. That is the only way. I agree.
Yeah.
I doubt that happens, though. That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
I doubt it happens, and that's what's ultimately going to cost his job. But I
think the
do
only
believe that
way
this team can also play 500 ball the rest of the way, not meet those expectations, maybe even slightly under, and I think he could retain his job. Like if they're at 81 win pace the rest of the way, I think he'd easily say, like, well, see, it was Shelton. We got better. This was the team. But we had a little bit of struggles. We were 500. There's adjustments, but next year I got you because you see, this is what we were. So next year, whenever we get even more improvements, we're in the playoffs. And Bob says, oh, gee golly, okay. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, let's go ahead, Ben. Let's run it back. Pick your new manager. And he says, all right. See, and that's the other thing, too. I had to put Don in here. I want to get the guy I want. This is going to lead us to the promised land. And that's how he sells it. But he has to do those things. And I don't think this team is built to do those things to allow him to convince Bob for year 7.
Yeah, so I just disagree with you. I think the only way Ben comes back is if Don Kelly has a really good second half here. So like if Ben comes back, Don Kelly's the manager of the 2026 Pirates. I think that's going to be how it works out.
Probably.
If Ben doesn't come back, then Don Kelly's only managerial stint with the Pittsburgh Pirates is going to be these 124 games.
Yep.
I think they're pretty much tied to the hip right now. And in order for Ben to come back, Don Kelly needs to win more than he loses.
They're accountable together.
There you go.
All right. No, that's all good. I like the discussion.
Yep.
Cool.
It's gonna, like I said, it's a new season now. I mean, there's really nothing to play for from a competitive standpoint, but there's still plenty to play for here. There's still a lot of people who you need to find out who they are. There's a lot of guys who are playing for contracts. There's a lot of guys who are fighting for jobs and figuring out who they are as major leaguers.
Can I just add one more thing? We'll move on to the Mets series. But to kind of go with my point, I'm Ben Cherington. I'm also selling the fact, unfortunate season didn't go, so we had to trade Andrew Heaney. We had to trade David Bednar. We had to trade Santana. We traded Mitch Keller because that offer was available and it was too good to pass up. So, you got to understand we didn't hit 500 because we lost a lot of talent, but that talent's going to help us for 2026. See, the salesman comes out. It's Bob Nutting, eat it up. Again, there's things Ben can speak of why it didn't go this way, but why I also can be the right guy. I'm just saying. I think if it's even at the 85 win pace doesn't happen, he can sell himself back in. That's all. We'll find out. I'm just saying there's a lot of building stuff that he can say, hey, this is all Derek. And because of Derek made us trade Mitch Keller. Derek made us trade David Bednar. Derek made us trade Andrew Heaney. And therefore we lost a lot of wins by doing that. So this is all Derek's fault.
I just don't see it happening.
Fair. Let's talk about the Mets. So series number 2 under Don Kelly, the New York Mets. Not a simple task. Not that the Atlanta Braves were a simple task, but they're not the Atlanta Braves that we're all used to seeing this year. The Mets. Well, Jim, the Mets are pretty good. And it's in New York. But the good news is Cody will be at the game, not you. So there's a chance.
Yeah.
Does the Coleman curse exist?
The Coleman curse. Yeah. The Mets are good. Francisco Lindor, Juan Soto, Pete Alonso, all having outstanding seasons. Brandon Nimmo's having a good year as well. This is it's a pretty good team. Mm-hmm. Starting pitching is, I think when we looked at the Mets going into the year, we were like, this pitching staff is kind of crappy, but they're all pitching. They're all pitching really well. Kodai Senga's healthy and pitching great. Clay Holmes, the starting pitcher, has been outstanding. 2.74 ERA in 8 starts. That I think he's going up against Falter in the 3rd game. David is it David Pedersen or David Peterson? I always get that wrong.
Oh, I've always said Peterson.
Is it Peterson? If it's
Is it
Peterson, I
Pedersen?
mean, it should be. I mean, that would be the easy way to say it. I think it's Peterson as well. Let me just check this real quick. Yes, Peterson. He's having a good year too. So he's going up against Skeens tonight. 3.52 ERA in 7 starts. Sinker, fastball, slider, changeup, cutter. So, and I feel like we've seen him quite a bit lefty. So you'll probably see like that heavy right-handed lineup. Maybe O'Neal Cruz gets another day off to see if he's healthy because he got had some back tightness. So that'll be something to watch tonight. But I am interested in seeing starting pitcher Clay Holmes face off against Bailey Falter on Wednesday. I think that could be fun. Clay Holmes was a guy who he had great stuff coming up through the Pirates organization, just never really put together as a starter. Went to the bullpen, looked really good as a reliever, but again, like never got the results out of the bullpen with the Pirates. You trade him away, and he becomes the best relief pitcher in baseball, or one of the best. And yeah, now that he's a starter, it's working, which is crazy. Like, I mean, he's 32 years old, kind of being converted back into that starter's role, and it's working out really well for him.
The way he's like leveled up, just one subtle change with the Yankees, and like just boom, yeah, just takes off as a reliever, really good reliever. And it's like, oh man, I mean, the Pirates haven't had many of these things. I'll give them that. It's not as if you're seeing everyone just leave the Pirates and be good. Clay Holmes is one of the guys. Like, that trade didn't work out at all for the Pirates and Ben, but kudos to him. Kudos to the Yankees for turning it around. But then, yeah, it's like, well, wait a second. The Mets are signing him, but also to be a starter. It's like, not only did he turn to be a good reliever, but now he's going to be a starter, and he's turning into a good starter. So this guy went from like a castaway reliever to a really good starter. Good for him. I'm less interested to see him for those reasons, because it's like, yeah, that'd have been nice to see him here still. But yeah, kudos to him. Yeah, the Mets are really good. I mean, the 4th best offense. You said it. You mentioned the Pirates have a negative WAR as far as offensive players go. The Mets, a 118 weighted runs created plus as a team. Not like, hey, our second best player is a 118. It's a 118 as a team, and combined WAR for the team offensively 8.3. So the offense is good. Now, Paul Skeens is pitching. That always gives you an opportunity. The issue is the Mets have some good pitching also. Like, this isn't like the Cardinals. When the Cardinals came in, it's like, okay, it's a really good offense, but hey, the pitching's bad. So maybe this team can capitalize and score some runs. No, their pitching's good. I mean, Mets, you want to talk about pitching factory, like the Mets have a pretty solid pitching factory going on as well. They just also have the opportunity to, keep guys like Pete Alonso and bring in guys like Juan Soto, who by Juan Soto's standards, not having a good career, but it's like, or season, but it's still like, it's still a really, really freaking good season. Like, I wish the Pirates had someone like Juan Soto. Ironically enough, O'Neal Cruz batting kind of like Juan Soto.
Yeah.
A little bit differently, right? Differently.
Yeah.
But
Soto not having his like typical crazy season. His on base percentage is below 400. Ooh.
And there we go. Oh my God, what's happening to Juan Soto?
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, like
him.
It's still a good season, compared to other Major League Baseball players. But
right.
Pete Alonso's the one where just having an outstanding season. He signed that 2-year deal with the player option for next year. So you kind of think like after this season, he opts out and then he gets paid because he's having a hell of a year. 192 weighted runs created plus right now for Pete Alonso. Like, he's just smashing the ball.
And I was going to say, like, he looks as if he's playing for that opt out. Like, this guy, yeah. I don't know if I should share or not, but just look at his StatCast page. I mean, it is just, for the people that like red circle, blue circle, a lot of red circles. And this isn't just like, well, you don't understand. No, he's doing everything good, and it's coming out good. I mean, he is on a mission this year. Wow. Like, that's a tough line. Like, even this is a good challenge for Paul Skeens even.
No, that's so like that Paul Skeens game. That Paul Skeens game, like being able to like having to go up against Lindor, Soto, Alonso back to back. That's going to be it's gonna be a test for him. It's gonna be fun baseball.
is.
It's gonna be sort of like that Dodgers game where you're facing back to back to back MVPs. Like these are three guys who have either won MVPs or they've been on the MVP board or they're gonna win an MVP this year. So it's a similar situation. The lineup's probably not as deep as that Dodgers lineup. Like the Mets don't have all-stars batting eighth, right? But they're top.
They're
top
a
of this
normal
Mets
good
order.
team.
Yeah, the top of this Mets order is nasty.
Yeah. No, it is. So again, like that's something that's interesting as well. I know a lot of people are harping on Paul Skeens and everyone's got him figured out. But meanwhile, people are batting like 192 off him this year or something like that. It's crazy. He's not figured out. It's the same thing. It's the Juan Soto effect. It's like, what's wrong with Juan Soto? I don't know. Juan Soto has a 137 weighted runs created plus. Like it's pretty damn good, but it's Juan Soto, so you expect it to be 190 like Pete Alonso. That's what it's done. Paul Skeens having a good season. It's different. It's different. But like again, this is a good test. He hasn't been good with his command lately. I'll say that. So like what comes today? What comes from Paul Skeens? Big game. Set the tone. Pirates could win another. You need okay, so we'll put it this way. For everything we talked about in the last topic with Don Kelly, you still need Paul Skeens starts to be W's. If you want to keep your job, Paul Skeens starts have to be W's, and it starts today with his first start under Don Kelly.
Yeah, and this is gonna be, I guess, a fun road trip because you're on the road against two NL East teams, the two top NL East teams, and Paul Skeens is gonna pitch twice. He's gonna pitch tonight and he's gonna pitch on Sunday. So you've got an opportunity here to at least split the road series. If you can win those Paul Skeens starts, then you just got to go 1-3 in the other 4 games. If you win both of these Paul Skeens starts, go 2-2. Next thing you know, you won your road trip against 2 really good teams. So yeah, it starts tonight. Got to win the Paul Skeens start. Got to win the Paul Skeens start on Sunday, and then figure out a way to win 1 or 2 of the other games. If you do that, then you can look back on this road trip against 2 really good teams and feel pretty darn good about yourself heading back home.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's like we talked about the LA series. You went to LA and you split it. Nothing lost, nothing gained, but that's fine. That's fine. I mean, most teams, if you split that series, they're okay. You're fine. That's what this is too. Like you're fine. This is combined. I mean, both these teams are better than the Angels, so you probably feel a little bit better. Like, hey, these are two playoff teams that we did this against. Yeah. Yeah. I like that.
And again, season's over. Like there's not there's no
There's
playoff
still a feel-good
implications
story
here.
that you can have.
But it's like, yeah, you can still put something together here. You can put something together here for the city to get behind you too. Like if this team's able to turn it around and play half decent baseball, like people are gonna fall in love with the Don Kelly Pirates.
Well, that's true. Plus, he's from here.
Yeah.
And plus, we don't know. Maybe his bench coach will be from here also, depending on who's there. But no, you know what? I want to go back to a Paul Skeens quote, actually, and what we're talking about. Like the season's over. Yes, I get that. But like he says, if nothing else, we're gonna grow. We better grow, because if we don't grow, it's a completely lost season. And that's what this is. You're not winning by wins and losses the rest of the year. Like that's not what matters. But winning, like, hey, we just went and we competed with 2 playoff teams on the road. We split that. Like that's growth, right? Doing all the right things, doing this. So like that's what you kind of want to see.
Yeah.
There definitely is still something to be gained in the season. So, anyways. Cool. Any predictions?
I'm gonna say they I'm looking at the pitching matchups here. Skeens versus Peterson and then Skeens versus Sanchez on Sunday is how it's lining up. You got to win both of those. The other matchups aren't great. So you just got to figure out a way. I'm going to say they win 3 here. I'm going to say they take 2 out of 3 from New York and they win 1 out of 3 against Philly. They go 3-3 this week. I'm feeling it.
Keller, the second win or falter? Because it's also away falter. So okay, so that's actually away falter.
We'll go Skeens, falter, Skeens as the 3 games that they win.
Okay,
they're gonna light up Clay Holmes.
Perfect. They're gonna score 10 runs against Clay Holmes.
The offense is gonna break out against Clay Holmes.
Love it. All right, that works. Well, then let's get out of here. Appreciate everyone for joining and watching and listening. If you haven't done so, of course, you know what to do. Go ahead and go ahead and subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Check out our Patreon if you haven't. $4.99 a month. Some pretty cool things. We already raffled off some stuff the other day, gave away some tickets, autographed Mitch Keller baseball, and some NS9 merch. 99 cents for a YouTube membership. Get all the cool emojis. May 24th, the Pirates get their first Saturday victory because they're not doing it on this stretch. We already know that because they're winning Skeens, falter Skeens. So May 24th, come to the NS9 tailgate, see the Pirates get their first Saturday victory. And outside of that, we'll see you again tonight after Paul Skeens gets his first road victory this week.
Yeah, if you haven't yet, RSVP to the tailgate. I know a bunch of people already have, but just to give us an idea of how many people are going to show up, link is in the description under the video or under the podcast. So make sure you RSVP there. It's free, doesn't cost you anything. We just want to know how much food we need to order.
Yep. Catered by Permane Brothers. So we'll have sandwiches. All right. Love you guys. We'll be back. Bye-bye.
See you guys. All right, that wraps up this episode of North Shore 9. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whether you're listening on the podcast or catching us on YouTube, if you enjoyed the show, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps us grow. And if you're listening on the podcast, a quick review goes a long way in helping others find the show. Plus, be sure to tell a friend about us. There's always room for more here in the NS9 community. And for those looking to support us a little more, consider joining our Patreon, become an MVP member, and get exclusive perks while helping us continue to bring you more of the Pirates content you love. Thanks again for all your support, and let's go Bucks.